everyone, and welcome to Stash Chats. If you have been around before, or if you joined me for So Sorted last week, I'm sure you guys will recognise me. So I am Yvette. I am one half of the team behind Stash Hub, the sewing organiser app, and I'm really excited to be joining you live this evening. So every week I host this series called Stash Chats, where I talk to different members of the sewing community about how they got into sewing, what they're up to in the community, and of course their stashes. So this is a great chance for you guys to ask questions as well. So please do pop into the live chat if you are joining us live on YouTube, and let us know what questions you've got. So tonight's guest is Becky. So we're going to be talking all about how she got into sewing and her upcycling challenge that she's hosting next month. So yeah, kick us off by popping into the chat, letting us know where you're joining from, because I can't see who is joining us live unless you get involved in the chat. And if you're watching us later on YouTube, do pop into the comments as well to let us know that you're watching and your thoughts on this episode of Stash Chats. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. If this is your first ever episode of Stash Chats, we've got 90 other episodes like that you can catch up on, so I'm sure you guys will find lots of interesting conversations there, because each one is different and exciting, and it's really great to get to know other people in the sewing community. So in terms of Stash Hub news this week, I've just wrapped up the So Sorted course, which I ran last week. So that's why there wasn't any Stash Chats episode this time last week, because I was doing the Stash Chats course all about helping you to organise your sewing collections. So if anyone watching has joined in with So Sorted, don't forget to complete the survey, because that is going to help Doug and I make decisions about what to do next, whether we're going to run a similar course to So Sorted at another time or do something else. So yeah, that will be really, really appreciated if you would do the survey. But that's all of our news at the moment. Apart from there is the swap happening on Saturday. So that is only a few days away. So yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description afterwards. Otherwise, you can have a look on Eventbrite for Bornella Stash Hub London Swap. So that is going to be on Saturday. There's a very small number of tickets left. So if you are near London this weekend, do pop in and join us for the swap, where you can exchange any fabrics or patterns or sewing supplies that you don't want and that are overwhelming you and taking up space in your stash, and swap them for other things that inspire you. So yeah, do pop along to the swap that I'm hosting on Saturday, the 27th of September, if you can make it, because that will be really exciting to see you guys in person. But yeah, that is the news for the moment. So now let's crack on with the Stash Chats. So today's guest is Becky, who you will know as Notes from the Sewing Room on Instagram and on YouTube. So Becky shares her fun and colourful makes with the sewing community on her channels, and she is also teaming up with Karen from So Little Time to host the So Upcycle 25 challenge, which is going to give you that motivation to do all of those upcycling projects that you've been wanting to do in your sewing. So I'm really excited to hear more about that challenge and how we can all get involved. So let's bring Becky on and have a stash chat with her. Hi, Becky.
Everyone.
Thanks for coming on Stash Chats, Becky.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
I can see we've got Jan from London joining us in the chat. So yeah, always appreciate having Jan. She's one of our regulars.
Hi. Thanks for joining us.
So do you want to kick us off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, Becky, and why you got into sewing?
Yeah, so I think sewing is something that I've always wanted to do. Like when I was at school, I wanted to do textiles, but there wasn't actually a lot of people at my school that were interested in kind of making things in terms of textile stuff. So I actually wasn't allowed to take GCSE textiles because no one else wanted to do it. So I was actually forced down the route of doing a GCSE in, well, I did more than one GCSE, but instead of doing the textiles, I did food technology instead, which I do actually love cooking. So that was good. But I wanted to do textiles. So I suppose that kind of stayed with me. And then as I got older, I went to college and I actually did a course in media. But at the same college, there was people there doing fashion, and I used to wander through like the fashion hall and see everything that people had made on the mannequins and stuff. And I kind of always wished that I'd kind of gone down that route in my professional career and kind of got into kind of making things that way, but I didn't. And then, you know, life moves on a little bit, and I suppose this has always kind of stayed with me that I wanted to kind of make things. And then probably like 10, 12 years ago, I thought, do you know what? I'm actually just going to start making my own things. But I really had to start from scratch. So I didn't have to start a sewing machine. I didn't really know where to start. I knew the kind of projects that I wanted to make, but just didn't know how to do it. So I'm kind of a self-taught sewist, really. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I've been to a few day classes. So I've been to Guthrie and Garney quite a few times. Which I love. It's got such an amazing studio there, and it's always really inspirational to kind of do a class there. And particularly before I had the children, I used to take myself for like a day trip to Birmingham and go and do one of their classes. I always felt like I got a lot out of it. So yeah, my sewing journey's kind of started off from nothing, and then now I make most of my own clothes. So I highly recommend sewing to anyone. I just find it amazing as a sort of creative platform and kind of creative release of kind of stress and all that kind of thing of day-to-day life.
That's brilliant. And that's like you said, you had like in mind what you wanted to make at the start. Was that like making clothes for yourself, or were you thinking about doing kind of homewares or other stuff?
I think it was always clothes that I wanted to do. I've always been interested in fashion and clothes and things like that. And I think in the past, I've always really enjoyed sort of walking around the shops and sort of buying clothes. But then as I've got into making clothes, I suppose now I like to go shopping for ideas of things that I could actually make myself. And, you know, it's actually quite surprising when you look around in the shops, just on the high street, you kind of think to yourself, oh, actually, I could do that. Oh, I've got that pattern. And that's probably similar to what's in, you know, whatever shop it is. So I suppose my shopping journey has changed as my sewing skills have improved, maybe.
Do you find you shop a lot less now that you can make your own stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And I shop more for fabric than I do for ready to wear clothes. I mainly buy ready to wear clothes for my children, but I must say I do pick up a lot on Vinted for the children. And I've had odd bits myself from Vinted as well. I hate the idea of kind of waste in children's clothing and with toys and things like that, because I think children can often grow out of things so quickly, and there's so much life left in clothes and toys and things. So if you can sort of share them with someone else, and that's an amazing thing to do. And I've also shared my things either with the charity shop. We've got an amazing charity shop near me, which is just for children's wear. So I take things in there as well. But also, like I said, I've bought things on Vinted, and you know, often things have got so much life left in them. I do enjoy making stuff for my children as well, but I must say I make more for myself probably than I do for anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like even like right at the start of your sewing journey, you were like, I need this creative outlet and I need this hobby kind of for my own well-being. So
Yeah.
it's good that you've managed to sort of, protect that time in a way and still kind of keep that focus on yourself and still making for you.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important because, you know, I love being a mom. I think it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But I think it's important that, you know, I do try and carve out a little bit of time for doing things that I enjoy as well, because I think that's beneficial to the children, because then I can show them things that I've made, and they can, you know, in time when they're a bit bigger, they can say, Mommy, can you make me whatever it is? And hopefully I'll be able to do it for them, because my skill level will just keep hopefully improving. I think it's really important to do things that you enjoy, and you can pass those skills on then.
Yeah, and it sets a good example for your kids as well. They see that, you've got your kind of self-care rituals and your things that you do for yourself, and then they'll be able to like, do that for themselves as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I encourage them to do anything that they enjoy doing and that makes them happy. So I suppose sewing's just that for me, really.
Have they shown any interest in sewing yet, or are they a bit too young so far?
Yeah, so I've got a 5-year-old, so my little boy was just 5 this last weekend. And I've also got a 21-month-old. So my little girl Alice has not shown any interest in sewing yet because she's a little bit young. But my little boy, you know, he does sometimes ask me to make things for him. So, you know, he's interested in coming in my sewing room, which I'm in now, and having a look around. And he sometimes comes in here to play with his toys if he knows that I'm in here. You know, he likes to have a look at the fabrics that I've got. He quite enjoys if we do go out shopping together and we end up in a fabric shop, I'll say to him, oh, do you like this fabric? Could I make you something out of this? So from that point of view, he's kind of been interested. We've not sat down on the sewing machine and made anything together yet, but hopefully I do hope that that comes in time. I've actually kept one of my original machines, which is just a small John Lewis machine. I don't know if you've seen them, like a little colourful machine. And that was kind of my first machine that I had. And I've kept that because I'd really like William and Alice to be able to practice sewing on that when they're a little bit bigger and they sort of feel that they might want to learn to sew. But yeah, I didn't want to get rid of it.
Well, that's a good idea, because then if they do get into sewing, they're not stopping you from sewing if they want to have a go.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I suppose it comes back to what I said about waste as well. Like I wanted someone else to love my machine that I'd loved so much when I was learning to sew. So I just thought that, you know, I can continue loving my machine as well, like, you know, if my children are using it, kind of thing. So yeah, fingers crossed that happens in the future.
Brilliant. So you mentioned about kind of going to the charity shop and stuff, and getting inspired when you go out shopping. Do you also get inspired to do upcycling projects by things you see in the charity shop as well?
Oh, definitely. And sometimes I go into the charity shop with that in mind, that I'd like to upcycle something. As much as I enjoy working with a flat piece of fabric, I think there's something quite fun about upcycling something else and just sort of having that creative vision of what you could turn it into. So yeah, I do really enjoy that. And sometimes, you know, I've joined, you know, a couple of different ready to wear things that I bought from the charity shop together. You know, you could join a top and a skirt, or I don't know, you could have a couple of different things and just make them into something else. And I do really enjoy doing that. And I often find the fabrics that I want, and I actually cut up the original seam lines and try and lay the pieces out flat, and then I see what shapes of fabrics that I've got, and then I kind of go from there to sort of think, what patterns have I got in my stash, and how would that work with the fabric that I've got, and then try and come up with things that way.
That's a good idea, and that's quite a good tip as well, to like combine different pieces, because I think one of the challenges with upcycling projects is that you have much less fabric available often than like a fresh piece of fabric, because it's already been, you know, cut and it's got seams running through it. So finding things that go together is quite a good idea.
Yeah, I think as part of the upcycling challenge that myself and Karen from So Little Time run, hashtag So Upcycle 25. If anyone's wanting to take part, it's going to be throughout October, hosted on Instagram. Do check out my account, Notes from the Sewing Room, or So Little Time, to find out more about it. But there's been some amazing things that people have made over the few years that we've been doing the challenge, and people have joined all kinds of different upcycling, you know, pieces of original fabrics together to create an upcycled garment. I think last year someone made a denim bag, which have got lots of different types of denim from jeans in it, and that was amazing. We've had panelled skirts and dresses and all kinds of different things. Honestly, the creativity that's in the sewing community in terms of upcycling and in general is just amazing. I think each year me and Karen have just been quite astounded really with the level of stuff that's been submitted. So having said that, though, you don't have to do anything as part of the challenge that is really complicated. You can also do things that are quite straightforward. And if you don't want to use a garment to upcycle, you could use, you know, things like a tablecloth, a bedspread, I don't know, some towels, anything basically, as long as it's not new fabric.
So what do you have to make for the challenge? Is it a garment or a bag or anything?
Yeah, so a garment or a bag. It doesn't have to be for yourself, it could be for someone else, you know, a friend or a family member or a neighbour or something like that. I mean, you could even have in mind that you want to start to tick things off your Christmas list in terms of making things for people, and you know, you could do it that way. So I mean, bags come in lots of different shapes and sizes. For example, you know, you could make quite a straightforward tote bag or something more complicated. And the same with garments as well. You know, you don't have to do anything that's too challenging if you didn't want to. But we've got lots of different prizes from lots of different providers, and we're really thankful of the prizes that we've been given. So we would love it if anyone could take part. And it's open worldwide as well. It's not just in the UK.
So what do people have to do to submit their entries to So Upcycle 25?
So what we're asking for is an original picture of the item that you're upcycling or items if you're doing more than one. And then we would like you to submit that picture and the finished item picture on Instagram on the 31st of October, tagging in myself and Karen and using the hashtag so Upcycle 25, and then we'll pick up all the the entries that way and put them into a prize draw, and then we'll be doing a random prize draw, picking names out to win the prizes. People cannot actually share works in progress through the month of October as well, and to do that you just use a very similar hashtag with so Upcycle 25 WIP.
Brilliant. And yeah, and you can check out the previous year's hashtags for inspiration as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And like I say, there's been some amazing things that people have made. Of course, myself and Karen can't actually take part in terms of entering for the prizes, but we always take part and make something each year just for kind of inspirational purposes. We've actually got a sewing vlogger tour that's running alongside the challenge again this year as well. So we've got a range of different sewing vloggers that will be giving inspiration on their sewing plans and perhaps upcycling projects that they've done in the past as well. So that's going to be really fun.
Brilliant. Yeah, we've got a good idea from Jan in the chat who says, I may try upcycling some of my me mades I'm not wearing.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's a great way to use that fabric, because obviously with me made garments, we've often put a lot of time and effort into whatever it is that you've actually sewn up in the first place, and you probably absolutely love the fabric as well, which I think is different to buying a ready to wear garment, because you don't necessarily love that fabric in the same way, because you've not chosen it off the shelf, you've not felt it, you've not kind of, I don't know, had that same relationship with it. So upcycling a me made garment is an amazing idea.
Yeah, and we've got Tanya from Just Let Me Sew joining us as well.
Hi.
Is Tanya doing the vlog tour this time?
We've got a range of different vloggers taking part in the tour. So yeah, and we're still open to people joining in as well. So yes, if anyone's out there and they've not joined the tour yet and they're a sewing vlogger, then please do get in touch.
Yeah, that'll be really fun to watch, because I think upcycling can be a bit more of a creative challenge than starting from scratch sometimes.
It can be, but I think you just perhaps don't have to think about it too much. You just have to kind of dive in and think, I'm going to do this, and not be too scared by it. Because I think sometimes the word upcycling just can sound a little bit scary to people, but it really doesn't have to be. And like I said, whether you're using a me-made garment or you're using a ready-to-wear garment and you're wanting to upcycle those type of things, you could just cut the fabric into flat pieces and kind of, maybe you'll see it in a slightly different way then, rather than it already being in the shape of a dress or some trousers or whatever it originally was.
So what would you say is like your definition of the word like upcycle? If someone hadn't heard that word before, what would you tell them it is?
I would say it's kind of giving new life to a piece of old fabric, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it. And also like with kind of the up, as opposed to just like recycling. Upcycling is like you've kind of taken it to sort of, a higher level of use, right? Like rather than like downcycling, which is like cutting stuff into rags. And I think for sustainability, you want to keep things at the highest possible level of use for the longest amount of time. So if you've got something that you're not wearing and then you upcycle it into something that you really love, that's getting more use. So like in my mind, that is, giving it a higher level of use if you're able to wear it all the time and you're making the most of those resources.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've got some jeans in my wardrobe, for example, that I'm not wearing anymore. And I was thinking maybe I could turn those into, a bag, or I've seen people turn jeans into skirts before, and I'm a little bit unsure about how you do that. So I maybe should research it a little bit, because I'd actually quite like to give that a go. I think some people did that last year as part of the upcycling challenge, actually. But I know quite a lot of people in the past have sort of made bags out of jeans. So that could be a fun project for me to do personally. I've also been sort of saving various things that I could have sent to the charity shop, but I've got a little collection in the bottom of my wardrobe of things that I could potentially upcycle. Things that I do really love the fabrics on and things like that. And I think the thing is, you don't necessarily have to use the particular fabric as the outer part of, you know, for example, the bag or the skirt or something, things can become a lining or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to look the same as it looked originally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just getting the use out of it in a way that sort of makes sense now, rather than leaving it how it was in a way that wasn't getting used.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the past, I've used some of my husband's old shirts and I've used them as bag linings, and they can work really well for, you know, tote bag linings or makeup bag linings and that sort of stuff.
Excellent. So do you have a little sort of second stash of things you want to upcycle as well as normal fabrics?
I think I do, yeah. I mean, in my sewing room where I am now, this is where my kind of new fabric is and projects that I'm working on. But in the bottom of my wardrobe, I have actually got a little collection of things that I would quite like to upcycle. In particular, I've got in mind that I'd like to upcycle an old Catkitson skirt. So it's a really nice kind of gnome print on it, and it just doesn't really fit me anymore, and it's not something that I've been wearing. So I'd quite like to make that into something else. And I was almost thinking about using it's quite a strong print, so I'd like to use it for something maybe like the inside of a jacket, like as a lining or something like that. I've got some blue corduroy in my normal fabric stash, and I thought perhaps I could join something from my upcycling stash with my normal fabric stash to, you know, to work together. So I think perhaps my new corduroy and the old skirt might work quite nicely together.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So how do you have like a system of like how you store your kind of upcycling projects, your ideas?
I'd love to say yes, and that, you know, they're all like neatly ordered or something, but they're really not. They're just in the bottom of my wardrobe, and I know that they're there. And when I kind of have the inspiration that I want to upcycle something, or I've got a project in mind that I want to do, that I think one of those items in the bottom of my wardrobe might work well as, I get them all out, I put them on the bed, I have a look at them, sort of see what might work, and if they do or they don't, I put the rest of them back in again, and repeat the process another time. I'd love to be more organised with my normal fabric stash as well, but I do try. I've got a set of drawers and I've got an IKEA unit behind me. I don't know if you can see, which I tend to store my fabrics in. And I have been trying to be a little bit more organised, but I do find that when you live quite a hectic life, things do get a bit messy sometimes. So.
Yeah, I mean this is one of my sort of inspirational kind of what do they call it, sound bites from So Sorted, which is like being organized is not the same as being tidy. Like I think, you know, if you have a home for things, that's like being organized. It doesn't matter if those things are not in their home, because obviously sewing is a process, right? Like you're, you know, if things are going to get messy, there's no way to avoid that unless you're not sewing, which is obviously the opposite of what we want.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a little bit easier for me being messy now because I've got my own sewing space. But in the past, I've sewn on the dining room table, and I know it's made my husband a little bit cross sometimes when I've had my sewing machine and my overlocker out, and I've had all my fabric everywhere, and, you know, my projects and everything like that. And it's kind of a little bit unfair to my family, I suppose, when I've got everything everywhere. But I do find it a lot easier now that I've got my own sewing space and I can, you know, have my things out in here that I want to. And it's kind of, if I'm being messy, then it's only really me it's not really affecting anyone else.
Yeah, I think as well it allows you to squeeze more sewing in. Like if you've only got kind of 10 minutes spare between, like, you know, dropping one kid off at school and trying to make the other one go down for a nap, or whatever you're up to, you know, if you've got 10 minutes, you can sort of pin a few seams. Whereas if you've got to set up the whole space, it kind of limits your time a lot more.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of times I've been asked on my YouTube channel, like, how do you fit in sewing when you've got two small children and you work and everything? And I think it's exactly what you've just said. Like, I find that if I've got my machine set up, I can dive into my project just for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And it is actually really surprising how projects come together. You know, you could just do one seam, you could overlock a shoulder or put in a zip, or, you know, whatever it is. But, you know, it's really surprising how things do sew up. So over the course of the month, you know, I tend to get a few projects done, and it's through doing those small bursts of sewing that I've allowed myself that time to be able to do it. I do sometimes sew late into the evening as well. Sometimes I regret it the next morning if I have been up too late. but I do quite enjoy, you know, being in here. I have my radio on, or some music that I like to listen to. and you know, I get on with my project. So, and I find that that's like my time, because by that point, you know, the children are in bed, my husband might be watching a film or something that I'm maybe not interested in, so I just come in and do my own thing, and I do really enjoy that.
Yeah, that's really good to have that time sort of set aside. And also, I think as well, you know, just doing your project and breaking it into small chunks can sometimes make it feel like less work, because it doesn't feel like you've spent, like, you know, 2 whole days on this project. You're like, oh, I've just done this seam and that was the last seam, and you know, that came together easily.
Yeah, so I think sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, particularly if you're doing a big project and there's a lot of steps to it. So it is quite nice to break it down over a number of days if you can. And sometimes I find that the instructions won't necessarily go in if I do it all at the same time, because it's almost like I get a bit of a brain fog of, oh, I've just done that, and you know, I'm getting a bit confused about where I'm at. So it's quite nice if I do have a bit of a break in between the different steps, and I probably enjoy the process more than sitting down and doing a load of sewing all at the same time sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Do you tend to work on like one project at a time, or are you like a sort of multi-whip type sewist?
Oh, I'm definitely a multi-project type person. I've always got different things on the go. Yeah, I've got a few things here. I've got a Margot pinafore that I've been working on. So I'm wearing a Margot pinafore at the moment, which is one that I made recently. And then I've got another one which I'm sewing up at the moment. And I've got another dress project over here which I'm working on, and I've got a makeup bag over the other side that I've started and haven't finished and must do. Yeah, I've always got a range of different things that I need to do and want to do. It's just having the time to do them that's the problem sometimes.
Yeah, squeezing everything in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do enjoy it though, and that's why I squeeze it in, because I think if you do enjoy something and you know you do feel inspired by doing things, then you should make that time.
Do you feel like your YouTube channel, Notes from the Sewing Room, like kind of helps keep you accountable sometimes, because you think, oh, I said I'd do this in my plans, or I need something to show, or do you just kind of feel like more laid back about it, and you're like, well, if I make anything, I'll show that, and if not, I'll talk about something else?
Well, I am quite laid back about it, because I know that I can only fit in what I can fit in. And you know, I do try and put a video up each week, but I always say on my channel, you know, sometimes family stuff gets in the way, and I think hopefully people understand that you know my children are the priority, but I do enjoy doing the YouTube channel as well. But equally, I think I've just uploaded a video which is all about putting together a winter capsule wardrobe, and I think that does kind of help me keep on track, because I've sort of said I want to make these things, and then it almost helps me to remember what I actually want to make, and you know, what fabrics I've got and whatnot. And actually, the feedback that I get from people and the ideas that come as well are really good. And you know, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, like I want something to tie this whole capsule wardrobe together. What do you think?" And then people might say, "Oh, have you seen this jacket pattern?" Or "What about that fabric you've got? You can stash that might work." Or you know, things like that. So I actually find it really useful. So as much as I am laid back about it, it kind of keeps my YouTube channel keeps me on track as well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't stress about making things just because I've said I'm going to. Like, you know, I feel like I get to the things when I get to them, and I can't get to them before that. So.
Yeah, yeah. We got a question from Tanya in the chat. What is the biggest upcycle transformation you've done, Becky? Anything as crazy as the sewing bee?
Oh, I actually applied for the sewing bee once, but I only got to the producer interview stage. I think perhaps I wasn't as exciting enough to get on the program, or I don't know. But I have not done anything massively crazy. I once turned. I quite like to do things that I can actually wear. Do you know what I mean? On a day-to-day basis, I want to get wear out of things that I'm going to enjoy pulling out of my wardrobe, rather than doing something that's you know, just going to sit in my wardrobe for a special occasion or something like that I might only wear once. Although I do love the idea of upcycling something to wear for a special occasion. I haven't actually done that, but I once turned quite a long skirt into a dress. So I was quite pleased with that. I mean, I've done like lots of simple projects, but I think which are fine for upcycling. You know, I once turned a kind of Tilly and the Buttons cocoa type dress. It wasn't a cocoa dress, but it was very similar to that sort of style, into a crop jumper that was like I think it was the Roxy jumper I turned it into from So Over. I don't know if you remember that jumper. It's like a crop jumper that's quite fitted. So it was quite different to the original project. I think the original dress had 3/4 length arms, but because of the extra fabric on the dress, I was able to sort of move things around and make it into a crop jumper with long sleeves, with cuffs. So yeah, just I tend to go for things that I can wear every day rather than things that are too zany, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. That's like a very practical approach as well.
Yeah, well, you know, unfortunately, I don't really get to go out anywhere that's kind of too glitzy. Not, I say these days, I've probably never really gone anywhere that's too glitzy, but my day-to-day life is, the children. I work at home quite a lot as well. I do go into the office so I can wear smart things for the office, but day to day, I need things that are kind of casual and practical. So if I can upcycle myself things along that line, then that's going to be useful for me.
Can you remember any of the like craziest upcycles you've seen for the challenge off the top of your head?
I think some of the skirts that we've had, which have been in different panels of fabric that people have had from different projects that they've made, that's been really nice. I love all the different bag ideas that we've had. I think last year people used some like crochet type things and put them together with materials. That was really nice. There's been all sorts of different stuff that people have done that's just been amazing. But I do love it when people join different original projects together to create something new. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, we'll all have to go and peruse the hashtag after this for the inspiration. Oh, and I meant to say earlier that I will put all the details of the challenge in Stash Hub as well, so you don't have to remember everything or keep rewinding this video to watch all the details. Yeah, so I'll put that in, and then you can link it to your projects in Stash Hub as well.
Oh, that'd be really kind. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, well, we're really excited about the challenge, and they're really looking forward to doing it and seeing what people are going to make. But if people can share their work in progress pictures as well, that's really good inspiration for other people as well that are maybe undecided if they want to make something during the month. But if they can see other people are busy working on something, then that might give them some ideas.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on a upcycling project myself at the moment. So for the Knit and Stitch show, I'm hosting a catwalk for the first time.
Oh,
So
amazing.
the catwalk is called From Stash to Style.
Mhm.
So we're sharing things that people in the sewing community have made that uses basically materials that have got a story behind them. So either they've been in their stash for a long time, or there's something special about the
Mhm.
material, the fabric, or whatever they're using. So because I'm comparing, I'm not gonna be in the show, but I'm gonna make something for my mum because she really enjoys doing that, because we've walked on the catwalk together the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So I'm making her a dress using the oldest fabric from my stash, and also a skirt that belonged to my late nan, so my mum's mum.
Yeah.
So I'm using the skirt as like the sort of skirt of the dress,
Mhm.
and then I've got a bit of extra, so I've shortened the skirt, and the extra fabric I'm using to go around the neck, so it like ties them all together. So I'm hoping that will be a good upcycle that I can get done soon. But yeah.
That sounds amazing. I'm sure your mum will love wearing it. And the idea of you comparing and her working down the catwalk as well, that's such a lovely idea.
Yeah, I think she'll have fun. Like, she doesn't even sew, but somehow she's established herself as this staple on the sewing show's catwalk. I
Oh,
think I think her favorite thing is just me making her a new dress every time. Like, I'm obliged to do it because she's doing the catwalk. But yeah, she's a great model, so she'll have fun
oh,
with that.
oh, that's great. Do you know what? I've not been brave enough to do any of the kind of catwalks. Occasionally you see sort of call outs on Instagram for people to come forward and do one of the catwalk shows. But I probably would like to do one at some point, but I've not put myself out there to do any before. So yeah, maybe another time I'll have to do it.
Yeah, well, if it goes well and they have me back for Stitch Festival, I'll invite you, Becky, if you want to
Oh,
come
thank
on the
you.
stage.
Yeah,
It's really good fun.
oh yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you. I'm hopefully going to the Knitting and Stitching show this year. I'm hoping to go on the Saturday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've actually not been to the Alexandra Palace one before, so I've been to the one in Harrogate, and I've really enjoyed that. But I'm hoping to come child free as well, hopefully.
Oh, nice.
The last couple of times that I've been to the Knitting and Stitching show in Harrogate, I've had one of my two children with me, and you know, it gets so busy, and it's been a little bit overwhelming really sometimes, like having the pushchair and, you know, children and all the people and everything. But I've last year it was actually quite helpful having the pushchair when I went to have Harrogate, because it was, I had to bring the children, otherwise I couldn't go. So that was that was my reasoning behind it. And yeah, we had a nice day out as well, to be honest. And I stayed in the travel lodge the night before, and we had a, you know, a nice meal sort of there, and looked around the shops the day before. So I made a bit of a thing of it. But it was quite helpful having the pushchair, because I was able to put all my fabric underneath.
Yeah.
That was quite good. But I had to navigate a lot of the trains were on strike that particular day.
Oh, that's
And
annoying.
when I went through Leeds train station, a lot of the escalators weren't working either. So it was a bit of a nightmare, because I'd got the pushchair. But do you know, the staff at the train station were amazing, and they really helped me, and they took me like behind the scenes of the train station. It actually ended up being a really interesting day, because I got to go kind of behind the scenes of the train station and use the staff lifts and things. So yeah, it was really, really good. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
nice.
couldn't thank them enough, really.
That's good. But well, hopefully child free, you'll have maximum shopping potential. You could still bring the pushchair, but only put fabric in it.
Yeah, I could do, couldn't I? I definitely need to make sure that I bring enough bags to put everything in as well. Because in the past I've not necessarily brought enough bags. Like, so I think, oh, I'm going to be really sensible, and I'm just going to buy like 1 or 2 pieces of fabric, and then I always when I'm there, I'm like, oh no, I'll get some of that and some of that, and you know, it's quite easy to get carried away, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the Harrogate show, this fabric that I'm wearing here, this animal print fabric, it came from the Rainbow Fabric stall, and they were selling kind of offcuts, I suppose, of like the ends of lines. And this was on a roll of 5 meters, and they wanted you to buy the full 5 meters. And I said to them, look, I'm really sorry, but I can't, because it's quite heavy fabric. So you can imagine, like 5 meters was really heavy, and I'd got other fabrics as well. So I said, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't take 5 meters, but they were really kind and kind of cut it down for, I don't know, to 2.5 meters for me. But I think they were hoping to sort of sell the whole thing. I'm sure someone else bought the rest, and that was okay. But yeah, I couldn't have taken 5 meters with the rest of the things I've already picked up.
Yeah, that's good. Good idea. Yeah, did you have some fabrics that you wanted to show us to get some ideas for?
Yes, please. So I've got a couple of fabrics here that I wanted ideas on. So I've got this one. So this is a cotton lawn fabric. It's really, really nice. It's sort of white on that side, colourful on the front. I love all the different colours that are involved in this, purples, pinks, blues, purples, and yeah, it's really, really pretty, but I just don't know what to do with it. So in the summer I was thinking of making a Tilling Buttons Mabel dress, and I haven't got round to it. But I know that you can make the Mabel dress with a long sleeve, so that's an option, because that is one of my favourite ever dress patterns. But have you got any ideas of what I could do there? I've probably got about 2.5, 3 meters of it, so I've got a fair amount. But I'm thinking dress, or maybe a skirt and top that match, or something like that. So I don't know, have you got any ideas of what I could do with it?
Oh, it's really gorgeous fabric. Yeah, I
Really
think a
pretty.
Mabel would be perfect. But yeah, it could also be really good for like something like a patina blouse, and then you could always do like a matching sort of skirt, and then it would look like a dress. Yeah, don't know.
I
See
think
what
I'm
fabric.
sure I've seen someone, I don't know if it was on the Friday Pattern Company website, turn the patina blouse into a dress. So I suppose that might be an option as well. Although, because I really like this fabric, I don't necessarily want to make something as like a hack and then it go wrong. I maybe like to try the patina dress as a hack with a different fabric, maybe. But yeah, I've still actually tried that particular pattern, the patina. I've got it in my stash, and I haven't got round to it. So yeah, that's definitely an option that I could think about doing.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think it would be really nice to like wear to work as well, because like
Yeah,
it's like they've got the dark background, but it's like not too formal. Like it's still fun.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was just saying before that we actually came on air live, that I really liked your dress that you're wearing. So did you say that's the Nomi pattern?
Yeah, the Emmy 2016 with the
Yeah.
big puffy sleeves, and then it's got you can't really see it in this fabric, so there's not much point me standing up, but it's like straight, and then it kind of curves around the pockets, the kind of lower tier of the skirt.
So
Yeah, it's good
that
fun.
might be an option for this as well, because I have got that
Definitely.
pattern as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
and
good idea.
I've got another fabric here which I wanted ideas on. So this is a sparkly fabric. I do love anything that's a little bit sparkly. So this is a viscose jersey that is stretchy in all directions, and I'm getting glitter absolutely everywhere with this fabric. I've pre-washed it and I'd hoped that the glitter would stop coming off, but it hasn't. It's gone all over my carpet, all over basically anything it touches. So wherever I go in whatever I make is going to be covered in glitter, but I still like it. So the thing is with this fabric, and why I wanted advice on it, is that it's kind of rough on the front because of the glitter, and then it's very soft on the reverse. So I don't really want too much of the glitteriness next to my skin, because I think it's probably going to irritate my skin a little bit. So I was thinking possibly a top. I've only got about a metre and a half of this one. So I was thinking maybe a top that's only got like a neckband where that would touch my skin, and maybe some cuffs. Maybe that would, so the majority of the body and the sleeves are in the soft side of the fabric. The other thing about this fabric is it is very slightly see-through. So I think it would be okay as a top, but maybe not as a skirt or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, you could make something like really simple with it. Like I had a t-shirt that I got from like New Look or somewhere like that ages ago in a very similar fabric, like navy and glittery, and it was just like a cropped boxy t-shirt. And then but it was, because it was the glittery fabric, it was just like really fun, and like it was like quite good for wearing it like Christmas and that sort of season. So yeah, I don't think you need to do anything like crazy. I mean, if you did something with like a wrap or a twist or something, maybe that would be fun with the way the light hits the sparkles. But I'm sure you could figure out like a way of doing like the neckline and stuff, so that the sort of sparkly side isn't against your skin, like if you did like a kind of jersey binding rather than like folding the fabric under, or even if you used like a ribbing in a similar navy, you could maybe get away with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was thinking about a boxy t-shirt actually. I really like the Naya top by Tammy Handmade. I've made that a couple of times, so I think that would be quite a nice one to make. Although every time I actually try and do that pattern, something always goes wrong with my overlocker. I don't know what it is about. There's nothing to do with the pattern, but it's just every time I try and sew it on my overlocker, it just always seems to get jammed, or something goes wrong with it, and it takes me ages to kind of like rethread it or whatever. A few weeks ago, my little girl was having a rare nap in the day, so I thought, great, I'm going to get on my sewing machine and I'm going to like make something. I know I'll make a Naya t-shirt, so I quickly cut one out because it doesn't take very long to cut out. And it was just a plain cotton jersey that I was using, so nothing too fancy. Should have just gone through the overlocker like a dream, but no, it just all went wrong. And then I spent most of the time that she was asleep just messing with my overlocker rather than doing the sewing. So just one of those things. But
that's so frustrating.
I know, it's so frustrating. But I did manage to finish the t-shirt in the end, and that was one of the evenings that I also later on in the day stayed up late after everyone had gone to bed to finish that t-shirt, because I was like, do you know what? I've started it and I'm gonna finish.
It's like you've gone in with like too much optimism, like this is like a one and done project, I've finished by the end of nap time, and then your overlocker's like, really? Are you sure, Becky? Because I don't think so.
Exactly, that's exactly what happened. Because I think you could, if everything worked well with the overlocker, you could have the Naya t-shirt done in no time at all. But it just wasn't on my side that day.
I think doing something like kind of boxy is a good idea, because then you'll have like movement in the fabric as well, like where it's a viscose, it'll be nice and drapey, and that will give you more of the sparkliness as well. So I think that's a good plan.
Yeah. Do you know, with the sparkly fabric, does anyone know if that would be okay to go through the overlocker with the glitteriness? I kind of thought that it would be. So it's not sequins, it's just kind of almost like glued on glitter, but I didn't want it to clog up my overlocker. I don't know. Do you know about that?
I've never personally used like a similar fabric, so I couldn't sort of say for sure, but I guess it will just go into the little bin bit, and then you can always like clean out your machine afterwards. Can't imagine it'll be any worse than doing a bit of corduroy or fleece or something that gets the fluff everywhere.
Yeah, no, good point actually. Yeah, and I do tend to use my little brush and give it a bit of a brush out from time to time. So yeah, I can definitely do that. It'll just be covered in glitter.
Yeah, it's actually really satisfying to like clean out the overlocker. I find I quite enjoy that bit.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, and I always find if I do that fairly regularly, then it saves me from having too many sort of trips to the servicing place. So my machines tend to normally break down at the same time, and that can become quite costly if I've got to have services done on both machines. So if I can sort of look after them myself in any which way I can at home, then that's quite good.
It's quite fun if you haven't done like too many projects as well. If you've got like maybe like 3 or 4 projects you've done, and it's like you know, when they do kind of like archaeology and there's the different layers, and you're like, okay, that's the blue from that project
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
yellow
yeah.
bits from this, and it's quite fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, yeah. I quite enjoy, you know, when you go to a sewing show and they've got all the different machines from different brands on display, and they sometimes do a little demonstration of how all the different ones work. And I quite enjoy that actually, just seeing how all the different machines sew. Um, yeah, probably makes it for anyone outside the sewing community, that probably sounds so boring. But actually, it's quite interesting if you are a sewist, just to sort of see how all the machines work and, you know, what you potentially might like to get for yourself in the future.
Definitely, and with buying machines as well, it can be a huge investment. So you know, you want to get as much information as possible. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if you're like not in the market for a new machine, just like knowing what like upgrades are out there and what you think might be useful to you is really useful.
Yeah, I think I've always had, apart from my original machine, which is a John Lewis one, both of my overlocker and my sewing machine are both Husqvarna, and I really like them. It's a great brand. I've always got on really well with it. But in the future, you know, would be open to getting a different sort of machine. But you know, I feel like I need to sort of see it in person and have a go on it before I actually make that decision. Because, like you say, you know, it is a costly investment to get yourself a new machine, really. So it's quite nice if you can try it out before you buy it.
Definitely. And yeah, and have someone who's knowledgeable that you can ask questions about it as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Because I have been stuck a few times, you know, with my overlocker. You think, oh, I just don't understand why it's not working. But you know, the Instagram community is actually quite good. If you put something on Instagram stories and you just say, oh, can someone help me with my overlocker? It's doing this. Then someone will say, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? That's normally quite helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I watched, so Ruan, who is the Yorkshire Sew Girl, recently bought the same sewing machine that I've got. And
Mhm.
she was kind of doing an unboxing and showing all the feet that it came with. And there's like a box that's got a walking foot in. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't needed the walking foot, so I haven't looked at that box.
Mhm.
And so then she was doing the full unboxing and she was taking out the walking foot. And then there's all these other feet in that box with the walking foot, and I was like, are you joking? Have I had all these feet this whole time and I didn't even
Oh,
know?
yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that was great.
Have you investigated your machine and your feet and things since then?
I mean, I still haven't had a need to use those particular feet, which I suppose is
Yeah,
why they're in that separate box,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're more sort of kind of quilting or and like a applique and that sort of way. But it's good to know that I've got them, because otherwise I would have, because they can be quite expensive buying sewing machine feet.
Oh,
So I was like,
definitely.
oh, it's well worth watching that unboxing. Got a
Yeah.
load of free feet out of it.
Oh no, that's really good. I don't tend to use the walking foot on my machine actually either, and it's something that I'd like to have more confidence to use, because on my machine you have to unscrew something and then put the walking foot in, and I think it puts me off doing it because there's like different steps of the unscrewing and things to get it in there. So I tend to just use the regular feet that I've got that I use all of the time. But yeah, I should branch out and actually get the walking foot out and use it for different projects. I don't really tend to do lots of quilting. Occasionally I will, but I just tend to try and push things through the machine rather than using the walking foot. So a bit naughty of me, really.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a go at some point.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we've got like 7 minutes left. So is there anything that you want to tell us about before the end of this stash chat?
Well, I've got a dress here that I'm working on, which I just mentioned earlier. I am making a few changes to it. So this is a Tammy handmade Margot pinafore, but I have decided to put bias binding around the neckline and also around the arms, because the version that I'm wearing comes with facing. So I don't know if you made this.
I haven't made this one.
No, so it's a great simple pinafore dress. I found the sizing wasn't wasn't quite right for my body, so I cut out a size 10, but I found that it was quite loose around the top. So I ended up putting on the dress inside out and taking it in from the inside. I tend to pin myself in a garment, use my pink chalk and my tailor's chalk and kind of mark myself where I want to sew it into, and then go back to my sewing machine, do the alterations, put it back on again, and kind of make the alterations that way. So I've done that also with this version that I'm making. But I found that putting the facing into this one was done with the burrito method. And because the denim was so thick, I really struggled to get it through one of the arm channel, the shoulder channels. So luckily I was working on it at a sewing day that I've been to, and one of my friends was there and she helped me to sort of try and pull it through. But I think if I'd not had another person, I probably would have just abandoned it and put it in a pile and gone back to it later. So this time I thought, do you know what? It might actually work quite nicely with bias binding. So I'm using some of my favourite bias binding, which is from Becky Seamstress. I love the bias bindings that she does, and this one's got these little tiny flowers on it, if you can see there. So yeah, I'm going to be putting that around there. So I'm in the process of pinning it on, as you can probably see. And I've actually run out of the flowery one to go around the arm sockets. So I either need to buy some more or use a different bias binding for that area. But I'm looking forward to wearing this one. So this is a Fabric Godmother denim fabric.
It's lovely fabric.
Oh, it's so nice with all the different colours on it. I bought about 1.5 meters of it, but because it's quite wide, I've been able to kind of play around with the fabric and get myself a dress out of it. So, and because I'm not including the facing, then that's meant I needed less fabric. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that one made up so I can start to wear it. The version that I'm wearing at the moment, I've been wearing so much. And it's so nice when you discover a new pattern that you end up just really loving. So I thought, yeah, I've got to make another one. I've been wanting to make the Tilly and the Buttons olive pinafore again for ages, which is out of one of the older books. I don't know which book it's out of.
Yeah, it's
now.
the Make It Simple book, I think.
Yeah. But that's such a nice pattern. I've made that a couple of times, so I must get around to doing that one again. I've also got a denim, well, potentially a new denim skirt here that I want to make as well. So this is the pattern that I made absolutely ages ago. It's a Sewaholic pattern called Hollyburn, and there's 3 different versions here. So it's quite an old pattern really, but I rediscovered it the other day when I was sorting out some boxes, and I just thought, oh, I'd actually quite like to do that one. And I've not got the original version that I made, but I would like to recreate it. So I don't know if anyone's got any ideas of the type of fabric that I could use for that, but I was thinking possibly a blue denim. I love a blue denim because it just kind of goes with anything, and it's something that I would wear all the time. I was maybe thinking of doing version C, which is the shortest version. But I think it would probably have to be some kind of lightweight denim that wasn't too sticky outy, because it might not hang right otherwise. I think originally I made it in a cotton poplin fabric and lined it. Yeah. Have you made this pattern?
No, but it looks really cute. I think it's quite a good sort of staple, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, if you get it done in the next sort of week, you could do it for the Sew Phoenix challenge.
I know. I was thinking that, because I would actually really like to take part. So I'm not sure if I'll get it done in the next week, but I will try.
But yeah, that's a really cute one. I think that will be good.
Yeah, it would be nice. I've got a bit of a packed weekend with different things so coming up. So I don't know if I'll get it done over the weekend, but I could certainly try and start it in the week nights this week and see how I get on.
Nice. Your Jan says, is that denim behind your shoulder on the table?
Yes, it is. It is. And I did say in my most recent video that this might actually work well for this. So yes, that might work well. This has got a little bit of a stretch to it. So I keep changing my mind if I want to use it for a skirt like this, or if I want to use it for, you know, a dress of some sort. So I recently rediscovered as well the, what's it called? Dulcie Pinafore by Jennifer Lauren. And
okay,
that's so nice. I made the Dulcie Pinafore quite a while ago, and I've been sorting out my wardrobe because it was just got too full and I needed to clear out. Yeah, I saw it in there. Oh wow, I forgot about that dress. And again, I've been wearing that one quite a lot, so that one could also work nicely in that. So not sure.
Yeah, I feel like autumn is like the pinafore season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got one more fabric that I could share with you here. That I could do with some advice. And so this one's quite a bold pattern, as you can see. So this one is a jersey fabric, and it's like a velour, really, I suppose. I was thinking of either making a dressing gown out of this, because I thought that might be quite nice. You know, when you go on a trip, I've only got my like big dressing gown that I wear at home, and I'd quite like a lighter weight dressing gown that I can just take if I go to a hotel or stay at a friend's house or something like that. So I thought this might work quite nice for that. Or maybe a set of pajamas. I have got some velour pajamas, which are like shop bought ones that I really like, and they're like super toasty and warm to wear in the winter. So that could be quite good. So I don't know. Have you got a favourite pajama pattern that you've made?
So what I tend to do is make the Helen's Closet Arden pants, but in a jersey. So it's actually a woven pattern, but this got like an elastic waistband, and you can make it with cuffs. So
Okay.
that's my go-to like PJ bottoms.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like that fabric would be so fabulous for PJs, because you could even do like a wide leg, like the lane pants or something. That would be very dramatic. I mean, not maybe ideal for sleeping in, because then they'd like ride up in the bed, but yeah, they'd be good. Tanya loves the velour fabric, such pretty colors.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I did think about making like almost like a tracksuit that I could wear when I come home from the gym. You know, after you've had your shower at the gym and you just kind of want to put something on. At the minute, I've just got like a ready to wear sort of sweatshirt and joggers that I wear. But this could be quite nice and catch people's eyes. I come out of the gym because it's quite bright colours. But yeah, I don't know. I was sort of going towards pajamas or a dressing gown, maybe.
Yeah, loungewear.
Yeah, I've only really got into loungewear fairly recently, like because I'm really a sort of skirts and dresses type of person. I have got a couple of pairs of jeans, but I don't tend to wear them very much. They're just not really my thing that I like to wear. But you know, since I've had the children, and sometimes when we've been out and I've got rained on and I've got cold and whatever, it's actually quite nice to come home and put some joggers and jumper on and just kind of be snuggly when I'm not going anywhere. Because quite often I'll put my pajamas on, you know, if we're not going out again, and I just think, well, no one's coming round, I'm not going anywhere, I'll just put my pajamas on. But if I've got some loungewear, I could put that on instead, couldn't I?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that'll be fabulous. And then you'd feel good in your loungewear, not just like, oh, I'm at home now, so it doesn't matter what I look like. You can be like, I'm at home, I'm comfy, I'm cozy, but I'm still very fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. I did make myself some tracksuit bottoms and a jumper quite a while ago, but I've worn them quite a lot and they're getting a bit bobbly. So it'd be quite nice to do something else. I think I just used one of the Tilly and the Button sweatshirt patterns, and then I can't remember what bottoms I used for it. It might have been one of the Tilly and the Buttons ones from one of the books, maybe. I'd have to check
Tanya
that.
suggested, it's Jan suggested the Stella joggers from Tilly, which I think
yeah.
might be in the stretch book.
Yeah, okay, yeah, they could work well. They may have been what I did before. I can't quite remember. I'd have to check, but I find that Instagram is a really good way of me checking back what patterns I've used, because I can actually sort of see that I've made a note of it there. So yeah, I should have a look back. But if not, yes, the Stella joggers might be really good. Thank you.
Amazing. Right. Thank you so much for joining us on Stash Chats, Becky.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Everyone, head to the links in the description to check out Becky's YouTube channel and Instagram, which are both notes from the sewing room. And stay tuned for details of Sew Upcycle 25 to get motivated to do all those upcycling projects you've got planned.
Oh, thank you so much. And I really hope that loads of people can take part in Sew Upcycle. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone makes. And thank you again for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been really great chatting to you, Becky. So yeah, everyone, I'll see you next week for another episode of Stash Chats, where I'm going to be chatting with Ruth, who is Ithaca Maven. So hopefully you can join me again next week. And yeah, thanks for everyone who watched live and on catch up on YouTube. And thanks again, Becky. Bye.
Bye. Bye.